February 28, 2024, News Report 1. According to the fiscal budget announced by Hong Kong Financial Secretary Chen Maobua on February 28, the economy is expected to grow by 2.5% to 3.5% for the whole year, with an overall inflation rate of 2.4%. There are two main highlights of this budget. Firstly, the cancellation of additional stamp duties on real estate, buyer's stamp duties, and new residential stamp duties. These three stamp duties have been implemented since 2010 as tax policies aimed at regulating the real estate market. Their rates range from 15% to 20%, hence nicknamed by the public as candles. The Hong Kong government has not cancelled these tax policies mainly due to constraints from mainland China's policies. Secondly, the Hong Kong fiscal budget also includes a deficit budget. Since the first fiscal deficit in 2019, Hong Kong's fiscal situation has deteriorated year by year. The budget also proposes a series of measures to adjust tax policies, such as personal income tax reductions, and increasing the tax rate for citizens with incomes exceeding $5 million to reduce the deficit. The Hong Kong government expects the deficit to reach 48.1 billion Hong Kong dollars in 2024. News Report 2. On February 27, Taiwan and China representatives held the 9th round of negotiations in Kinmen regarding the overfishing incident by fishermen. Deputy Director of the Coast Guard Administration, Su Jingji, returned to Taipei to report work in the morning and returned to Kinmen in the afternoon to continue negotiations. The two sides talked for an hour but did not reach a consensus. There are reports that the compensation discussed amounted to 1.4 million renminbi, and the Taiwan Coast Guard Administration is inclined to issue a written apology and compensate the deceased. Taiwan's Ocean Commission Chairman Guan Bailing stated at the Legislative Yuan that the negotiations had not collapsed, and both sides agreed not to disclose the situation to the public until there was a result. Meanwhile, the People's Liberation Army continued its activities around the Taiwan Strait. The Taiwan Ministry of National Defense reported that on February 28, 15 PLA aircraft were active around the Taiwan Strait, with 10 flying across the middle line of the Taiwan Strait into Taiwan's airspace, coordinating with PLA warships patrolling. The aircraft active around the Taiwan Strait include J-10, Yun-8, early warning aircraft, and drones. In addition, the Ministry of National Defense found a Chinese balloon drifting eastward at an altitude of 3,300 meters, and Chinese Coast Guard and marine surveillance ships were also active around Kinmen, including a 2,000-ton Coast Guard ship and two other vessels that crossed into Taiwan's restricted waters. News Report 3. According to Yonhap News Agency, the South Korean military and the U.S. military will begin the 11-day Freedom Guardian joint military exercise on March 4. The exercise includes air assault, tactical live-fire shooting, air-to-air shooting, air-to-ground bombing, etc. The South Korean Ministry of National Defense stated that the exercise aims to simulate the North Korean nuclear threat scenario to enhance the interoperability and joint operational capabilities of the South Korean and U.S. militaries and strengthen the joint defense posture. From March to April last year, the South Korean and U.S. militaries reorganized to better cope with future major wars. This restructuring plan includes cutting 24,000 personnel, accounting for about 5% of the total U.S. Army personnel. The main targets of the reduction are vacant positions, including some positions related to insurgency that increased during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars but are no longer needed. At the same time, the Army plans to add 7,500 soldiers to other positions, including air defense and anti-drone units. The Army will also establish 5 special envoy units to enhance network, intelligence, and remote strike capabilities. U.S. Army Secretary Wormuth stated that the current focus of the U.S. military is competition from China and Russia, as well as threats from Iran and North Korea, rather than counterterrorism and insurgency operations. News Report 4. On February 28, President Biden signed an executive order aimed at preventing China, Russia, and other countries from obtaining sensitive information about Americans. U.S. officials stated that the collection activities of China, Russia, and other countries involve sensitive information of social activists, scholars, journalists, non-passport holders, and political figures, and use this information for malicious activities such as intimidation and threats. The executive order aims to protect 7 types of sensitive data, including genomes, biometric identifiers, precise geographic locations, personal health, personal finances, and sensitive government information. The U.S. Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security will establish stricter security standards to prevent China and Russia from infiltrating and manipulating the U.S. government. In addition, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Defense will ensure that federal funds, contracts, and awards are not used to help China and Russia obtain health data of Americans. The U.S. telecommunications sector will also review submarine cable licenses and consider security threats to sensitive information of Americans. News Report 5. Michigan held the Democratic and Republican presidential primaries on February 27. In the Democratic Party, President Biden received 81% of the votes, while writer Marianne Williamson received 3% of the votes, and Representative Phillips received 2.8% of the votes, with 14.1% choosing not to state their preference. In the Republican Party, former President Trump received 78.7% of the votes, while Haley received 21.8% of the votes. Although Trump has won 5 times in a row, Nikki Haley still insists on running, and her supporters have not given up. This indicates that within the Republican Party, there are still some people who choose not to support Trump's candidates. According to a poll released by Reuters and Ipsos on February 27, political extremism has surpassed economic and immigration issues to become one of the most concerning issues for Americans. Regarding the biggest problem facing the United States, 21% of respondents answered political extremism or the threat to democracy, 19% answered economic issues, and 18% answered immigration issues. According to the views of each party, 44% of Democrats are most concerned about political extremism, 10% are most concerned about economic issues, while 90% of Republicans are most concerned about immigration issues. Among independents, 33% are most concerned about political extremism, and 20% are most concerned about immigration issues. In addressing the issue of political extremism, 34% believe Biden can better solve the problem, while 31% believe Trump can better solve the problem. This poll was conducted from February 23 to February 25, and Rude Design believes this indicates that Biden can rely on voters who oppose Trump rather than his own supporters to win the election. News Report 6. According to Voice of America, the San Francisco court held a trial on February 27 for Chinese chip manufacturer Fujian Jinhua's alleged theft of trade secrets from U.S. Micron Technology. The court ruled that Fujian Jinhua was not guilty due to insufficient evidence. The U.S. Department of Justice stated that since September 2018, Fujian Jinhua, Taiwan's United Microelectronics Corporation, and 3 Taiwanese individuals conspired to steal trade secrets from Micron Technology. In November 2018, the U.S. Department of Justice sued Fujian Jinhua and placed it on the Entity List, prohibiting U.S. companies from exporting goods, software, and technology to it. In 2020, United Microelectronics Corporation admitted to stealing trade secrets and paid a $60 million fine, and promised to assist the U.S. Department of Justice in prosecuting Fujian Jinhua to avoid more serious charges of economic espionage. In December last year, Micron Technology and Fujian Jinhua reached a global settlement, withdrawing their respective charges against each other, and ending all lawsuits between them. Fujian Jinhua is a state-owned enterprise established in 2016, mainly producing memory and solid-state drives, and is one of China's 3 major memory manufacturers. Its technology mainly comes from Taiwan's United Microelectronics Corporation. After the U.S. implemented export sanctions in 2018, Fujian Jinhua was temporarily shut down. Recently, Fujian Jinhua has assisted Huawei in producing automotive surveillance camera chips, thus resuming partial production. News Report 7. The Discipline Inspection Commission of Shandong Province announced on the 22nd that Wang Yanba, secretary of the Party Committee of Zhaoyuan City, is suspected of serious violations of discipline and law and is currently under investigation by the organization. Zhaoyuan refers to Zhaoyuan City in Shandong Province, not the description related to Zhaoyuan's minerals. Shandong Province's major gold mines are concentrated in Yiyuan County, Zibo City. As for the news that investigators found 400 kilograms of gold in Wang Yanba's home, it cannot be confirmed. News Report 8. According to Caixin, a Chinese stock strategy research report released by UBS on February 27 stated that since 2024, the net inflow of funds from China's national team into A shares has reached 410 billion. The national team includes Central Huijin, China Investment Corporation, state-owned insurance companies, social security funds, etc. UBS tracked the excess trading of 54 ETFs and summarized the scale of market rescue funds at 410 billion. Excessive trading refers to the daily trading volume of a given ETF exceeding 20% of the average daily trading volume in 2023. Before the Spring Festival holiday this year, the trading volume of the Shanghai and Shenzhen 300 ETFs repeatedly exceeded 10 billion, even reaching 30 billion. Indicating that the national team continues to buy in. The entry of the national team is significant for stabilizing the market, but in the long run, the market's intervention by the state cannot save the market, and the stock market needs its own healthy development. News Report 9. According to Bloomberg, the China Securities Regulatory Commission has notified quantitative trading high-frequency trading funds to stop accepting new fund inflows and requires them to eliminate this investment strategy, believing that high-frequency trading has too high leverage and can easily cause market fluctuations. On February 19, the quantitative trading fund Lingjun Investment sold 1.3 billion worth of stocks at the opening because of an automatic system setting. On February 20, the CSRC punished Lingjun Investment. The newly appointed chairman of the CSRC, Wu Qing, publicly criticized Lingjun Investment, and the Shanghai Stock Exchange implemented measures to suspend trading of Lingjun. The CSRC also notified financial institutions not to buy or sell within half an hour before the opening and after the close, and required the quantity bought to be greater than the quantity sold. The BBC interviewed Mr. D, a private fund manager for quantitative trading, who said that quantitative trading is a law of market fluctuations, using algorithms to automatically execute strategies to achieve excess returns. He believes that the purpose of the CSRC's restriction on selling is to stabilize market sentiment, but it has a great impact on quantitative institutions because they cannot execute trading strategies. It does not have a significant impact on general institutions, but it has a significant impact on quantitative institutions. If they are not allowed to engage in quantitative trading, they basically cannot exist, which means that more investors will leave the Chinese market. News Report 10. The spokesperson of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mao Ning, announced that Chinese Special Envoy Li Hui will start the second round of shuttle diplomacy from March 2 to negotiate the Ukraine war. Li Hui will visit Russia, the European Union, Poland, Ukraine, Germany, France, and other countries. Li Hui visited these countries from May 15 to 26 last year, starting with Ukraine and ending with Russia. The first round of shuttle diplomacy did not achieve any substantive progress, and Ukrainian President Zelensky did not even meet with Li Hui. The Chinese government has not put forward a clear position on resolving the Ukraine crisis, nor has it condemned Russia's aggression, which has been criticized internationally. In addition, the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs also announced that Chinese Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Sun Weidong and Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov held talks in Russia on February 27. The two sides agreed to enhance strategic cooperation and deepen pragmatic cooperation. Sun Weidong stated that the relationship between China and Russia is at its best in history, and this cooperation is expected to deepen. However, there is a certain contradiction between deepening pragmatic cooperation between China and Russia and mediating the Ukraine war, which to some extent reflects the complex situation faced by Chinese diplomacy now. News Report 11. According to Yonhap News Agency, data released by the Statistics Korea showed that the number of newborns in South Korea in 2023 was 230,000, a year-on-year decrease of 7.7%, and the fertility rate was 0.72%. The fertility rate refers to the average number of children born to each woman of childbearing age. Generally speaking, to maintain a stable population, the fertility rate needs to reach around 2.1% to keep the population stable, neither more nor less. South Korea's fertility rate has been declining for several years, and the data for 2023 is a historic low. China's fertility rate is also declining, reportedly at 1%. This year, China's newborns numbered 7.88 million, a decrease of 1.68 million from last year.